Long before the week's end, it was apparent to Virginia Clark that something was drastically wrong with her son's behavior. The go-lucky youngster had disappeared as if down a well. Another creature had replaced him, nervous, harried, continuously glancing over his shoulder, in the manner of one being followed. Mrs. Clark's first inkling of change occurred that same Monday. She had been chatting with the other mothers who congregated outside St. Jeffrey's at 3 every afternoon to pick up their offspring. A casual assembly, the mothers were as relaxed and informal as the school itself, lounging against the picket fence, exchanging small talk and anecdotes. "Oh, that darling cowbell," laughed one of the group with a familiar clang. "Did I tell you Anne's class is having a taffy pull on Friday? Where else in the frantic city of New York?" The third grade was the last class to exit from the building on Monday. Not only that, but Mrs. Clark noted that the children appeared strangely subdued. Some of them were actually reeling, all but dazed. As for Roger, eyes taut and pleading, he quickly pulled his mother down the block, signaling for silence. When enough distance had been gained, words erupted from him. "No, we don't have a new teacher," he flared wildly. "We got a witch for a new teacher. It's the truth. She's from Hansel and Gretel, the same horrible eyes, and she steals toys. Yes," he repeated in mixed outrage and hurt. "By accident, you happen to put some toys in your book bag and she steals them. I'll fool her. I won't bring any more toys to school," he howled. "You know what children are to her? Plants. She did. She called us plants. Miss Awful, that's her name." Such was Roger's distress that his mother offered to stop at the Schraffs on 13th Street and treat him to a soda. "Who's got time for sodas?" he bleated. "I have homework to do. Punishment homework. 10 words, 10 times each, on account of the witch's spelling test." 10 words, 10 times each?" Mrs. Clark repeated. "How many words were on the test?" 10, moaned Roger. "Every one wrong. Come on, I've got to hurry home. I don't have time to waste." Refusing to be consoled, he headed for the brownstone and the desk in his room. On Tuesday, together with the other mothers, Mrs. Clark was astonished to see the third grade march down the steps of St. Jeffrey's in military precision. Clop, clop, the children marched, looking neither to the left nor right, while behind them came a stiff-backed, iron-haired woman in a pepper and salt suit. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, she counted, then clapped her hands in dismissal. Turning, she surveyed the assemblage of goggle-eyed mothers. "May I inquire if the mother of Joseph Lambert is among you?" she asked. "I'm Mrs. Lambert," replied a voice meekly, whereupon Miss Orville paraded directly up to her. The rest of the mothers looked on, speechless. "Mrs. Lambert, your son threatens to grow into a useless member of society," stated Miss Orville, in ringing tones that echoed down the street. "That is, unless you term watching television useful. Joseph has confessed that he views 3 hours per evening." "Only after his homework's finished," Marjorie Lambert allowed. "Madame, he does not finish his homework. He idles through it, scattering mistakes higgly-piggly. I suggest you give him closer supervision. Good day." With a brief nod, Miss Orville proceeded down the street, and it was a full minute before the other mothers had recovered enough to comment. Some voted in favor of immediate protest to Dr. Jameson, St. Jeffrey's headmaster, on the hiring of such a woman, even for a temporary basis. But since it was temporary, the mothers concluded it would have to be tolerated. Nancy Reeves, Bruce's mother, kept staring at the retreating figure of Miss Orville, by now far down the block. "I know her from somewhere, I'm sure of it," she insisted, shaking her head. The next morning, Roger refused to leave for school. "My shoes aren't shined," he wailed. "Not what Miss Awful calls shined. Where's the polish? I can't leave till I do 'em over." "Roger, if only you thought of it last night," sighed Mrs. Clark. "You sound like her," he cried. "That's what she'd say." And he gave his mother something to puzzle over for the rest of the day. She was still thinking about it when she joined the group of mothers outside St. Jeffrey's at 3. She had to admit it was sort of impressive, the smart, martial air exhibited by the third grade as they trooped down the steps. There was to be an additional ceremony today. The ranks waited on the sidewalk until Miss Orville passed back and forth in inspection. Stationing herself at the head of the columns, she boomed, "Good afternoon, boys and girls. Let us return with pens tomorrow." It was on Thursday that Nancy Reeves finally remembered where previously she had seen Miss Orville. Perhaps it was from the shock of having received a compliment from the latter. "Mrs. Reeves, I rejoice to inform you of progress," Miss Orville had addressed her after the third grade had performed its military display for the afternoon. "On Monday, young Bruce's penmanship was comparable to a chicken's, if a chicken could write. Today, I was pleased to award him an A."